Hey guys, this is the OD Investor here, and I'm coming with my first instructional video. And what this is going to do is lay out the framework to basically what I visualize whenever I think of myself and how I'm going to build wealth. I think that it could be depicted about a million different ways, but this is personally what I have in my mind, and I think that it would be a powerful tool for some of you to have this visualization in case you don't have one specifically for yourself, and hopefully it'll help a good amount of people out. So to start off, we have this small circle, and that is what I'm representing as you, or a closed system that is just your reservoir for learning, pretty much. I mean, this, if we tried to fill this with a bunch of wealth, I mean, there's pretty limited space. It's a pretty small circle. So really, how are we going to expand this, and how are we going to fill it with what we are depicting as wealth? Well, what that is education and experience. This is what is going to allow us to increase the size or the volume of this circle in order to fill it with what we're depicting as wealth. So this education can come in so many different shapes and forms. For me, it was college. I went to optometry school. I gained a very specific set of skills, and even before that, I had to go 4 years of an undergrad degree to make myself what the university deems as a well-rounded candidate in order to apply to these different schools. But all throughout the time, I gained financial knowledge, and that came in budgeting, personal finance, uh, equity markets, debt markets, is so many different things that I studied along the way because I didn't yet have an active income. Really, for the last 10 years, it's been about expanding this reservoir or circle that I'm depicting as myself in order to have a chance at actually filling it with something. So moving on, this is pretty much the stage I'm at right now. I have my first active income, and I'm now starting to build that circle that has now expanded because I've educated myself, albeit it's still a pretty tiny circle, but I mean, hey, we need time to do these things. The capacity for wealth I'm kind of depicting as potential as well. So what you can see is the circle's expanded, we're filling it with wealth, and that is coming from the active income. But big point here is that you first need to educate yourself. If you're just starting to fill it up, you don't yet have the capacity in order to contain or control this wealth. And one important thing is to take a look at debt. This, I mistakenly said last slide, was kind of where I'm at. This is a little bit more of an accurate depiction on where I'm at in this current period of time, because coming out of optometry school, most people carry debt, and that is certainly the case for me. So you have that active income building up wealth in this reservoir, but debt is, if you want to think about it, a hole in the bottom that is just draining this wealth. So in order to build this wealth, you can't be draining through the bottom with debt. I almost think of this kind of like a ship. You can't be taking on water and still be going forward. Eventually that water is going to overflow and sink your ship. So you need to shore up that debt. And so a great portion of your active income will be going to building wealth, but more in the form of increasing your net worth through paying off that debt. The debt is draining to your system. You need to take care of that and get it under control, especially higher interest ones where you are losing money at a faster rate. Big thing is any credit card debt should be paid off as soon as humanly possible. All of my student loans are around 6%, 6.5%. So for me, paying off debt as opposed to throwing all of my money in the market where it could earn more of that, but it could lose value. Right now, I'm in the mode where I'm trying to pay off the debt and take that sure 6% interest gain. So now that the debt is at a smaller arrow, and I mean, you can completely eliminate that before you go on to the next step, or you can get it under control. Now this is where you start building increased passive income streams and using more of that active income to build those different facets of your wealth creation. These are all little machines that are pumping money into your system, and they could be active, they can be passive. Usually they are active and then they become passive once you put in that baseline foundational work. But big picture here, you have to pay off the debt, make sure that you're not hemorrhaging money, and then get as many sources, preferably diversified sources, in order to get money into your system. But notice that this whole time, the educational experience portion of this that expands your circle is still working. You never want to stop learning. You never want to start slacking off or becoming complacent with what you know, because in order to continuously build wealth, you need these active income streams that are building it, but also you need to increase your potential so that you can carry that wealth and manage it properly and do good with it and do right by yourself and others. So without the educational and experience aspect, I think that you are running a huge risk at losing what you work so hard for. And I know it's one of those things that nobody wants to hear, but it's certainly possible to jump right to these later steps. But I think for 99% of the people that are trying to build great wealth, I think that it is more of a slow, deliberate process to where you first need to work on yourself. You need to pay off your debt and increase your active income. You need to build additional revenue streams that are all putting money in your pocket while budgeting appropriately and not spending all of your income. You need to keep it for yourself. And then over time, what this does is it snowballs and creates more and more wealth. Whereas you can certainly win the lottery, you can hit it big with a business or come into a windfall of money, but without these beginning foundational steps, I think that you're at high risk at losing it, and you need to first work on yourself. So this is just kind of a little bit into my mindset on what I think. It may work for some of you. Some of you may not agree with completely how this is depicted, but that's okay, because I think that there's a million different ways to depict this. This is just the particular one that I've chosen for myself. And so in my additional videos that are going to be coming, what I'm going to do is look into more specifically what I'm doing, where I'm placing my money, how I'm doing it, and that will be what's to come.